loving friends, it's Deb. Just wanted to do an update on my phals and how they are coming along at the various stages of their water culture transitioning. So I'm going to start with my oldest phal. So I've had her for 6 years. She was the second phal that I transitioned into water culture. This is Preeti. I'm going to come over here while I'm doing this. So she's doing very well. As you can see, her roots continue to grow. She's got great tips. Some of these older ones are, now they just all, today was feeding day. So they were all just having their big drink. I have subsequently dumped them, filled them with some fresh water. So that's why all of the roots that you're going to see are completely saturated. These older roots here, they are not typically looking like this. These are typically dry because if we look here, they don't actually sit in the water themselves, those older ones up here. So all I'm looking for with those is a possibility to maybe branch out. If they don't, that's perfectly fine because all of her new roots are going to sustain her just fine. But she's got roots popping out everywhere. So some there, another one there. Did I have another one on this side? Maybe not. That at one point I thought could have been a spike. However, it wasn't. It was just a funny looking little root. And I accidentally broke the tip off. So, I mean, you got to be really careful when you're taking them in and out of water. And I don't take her in and out of her container very often. Like the only time she comes out of that container is, or that vase is when I need to clean the vase out, which is not regularly, probably once a month. When I do them a good flush, I just clean out the vase once a month. Her vase, actually, I don't even remember the last time I cleaned it out, but her water isn't gross. Like it never gets gross or anything like that. And I don't have a lot of algae either. So, you know, I was very hesitant with converting her because I had her for 6 years, like 5.5 years. And when I got her, she was a couple of years old. So they say, you know, don't do it with older flowers or older orchids, sorry. And it's another one of those things that I don't really pay attention to because I haven't had an issue converting. So that is her. She sits up on the top shelf. Sits up, now you got to be careful. See, this is why you don't want to take them in and out on a regular basis. You have to be very careful with those roots. So she sits up on the top shelf. There we go. This leaf has always been a little wonky, but whatever, it is what it is. So she sits up on the top shelf in the bright light. She loves the bright light. Loves it. So next is Boo Bear. So Boo Bear here is my oldest phal. It is the first one that I transitioned into full water culture. That root there was a water root that grew. That one there, same thing, water root that grew out. And I did do a bump on it, which is sad, but whatever. And then her older roots. This one looks a little weird, but it's still firm. Like this middle part is still firm. As soon as it starts, you know, getting a little bit mushy, I'm okay to go ahead and cut that off. I don't really need it. She loses that root. It's not going to make any difference overall. But she's got new roots popping out everywhere too. There's one there. two there. Look at that one. Yeah, so I'm okay. You know, it's an ugly root. I mean, it's still doing its job. It's just an ugly root. I'll probably end up just snipping that off. Just get rid of it. But yeah, so that is Boo Bear. She's my large white phal. Let's go with this one next. This was my $10 discount that I knocked off the shelf, broke one of the flower spikes completely, snapped this one, wasn't completely snapped off. So I folded it over in hopes to fuse it back together, twist tied it up. And it seems to have done the trick because she hasn't dropped any blooms. Those ones fell off in the incident. So she hasn't dropped any blooms, but I named her Freckles because she's so pretty. But all of her blooms on this spike has opened. So she's doing very well in her transitioning. As you can see here, she's got lots of growing tips. Her water level is high because I haven't dumped her water out yet, but when I do dump it, I'm going to bring it right down here so that it only those 4 bottom roots will be in the water. That one over there too will be in the water. So she's got 4 roots that stay in the water. And then if I see any, you know, drooping, anything like that, I'll just raise it. That's part of the transition. You pay attention to what's happening with your orchids. This is Fiona, my gas station girl. I was not paying attention to her. You see that? So she loves water. She loves her water level to be a little bit higher. But I had dropped it down because this root here there was a break in it. It started sogging up, started rotting. So I dropped the water level down and she didn't like that. She didn't like it at all. And gave me these blooms. Now, sometimes if you catch the droop early enough and you add more water in, they'll perk back up, but these are not going to perk back up like at all. But that's okay because she still has a few there. She does have some branching. I'll get some more blooms off of her. Her leaf is doing very, very well. Her roots are growing phenomenally. She's taken very well to water, to say the least. This is my other little discount mini. I just showed you her fantastic roots the other day. They look so good. So she is getting water all the way up twice a week. So I do it on Saturday during the regular feeding, and then I do it again on Wednesday. So her water level goes all the way up twice a week. She's still in transition. And the rest of the time, there's just a little bit of water on the bottom of the glass. So it's just these bottom ones here are in the water. She's doing lovely. Great transition. And then, of course, I am so excited about this one. I gotta just tell you about her all the time. But since my last update on her, look at those roots. Like exploding. So she had the stem rot. I know in my update I said root rot. This is stem rot, not root rot. She had an old root that didn't actually push out through the leaves, and water got in there and got into the hole and started rotting her. Her middle leaves started yellowing, dying back, didn't know what was going on. I thought maybe her stuck leaf was an issue. No, she was just rotting. So I cut it all out, ripped off those bottom leaves, cut it all out, cinnamoned her up and prayed. And this is what we've got going on now. Her roots are beautiful. Again, her transition was slow, and I think that's why, is because of that situation that was happening in there. Because she was actually she's been in the water almost the same length of time as Boo Bear. And Boo Bear's already got 2 water roots, and her roots just weren't doing anything. So I think that stem rot brewing just stopped everything that was happening with her, because now she's got some rapidly growing nubs there, and these ones. And her little leaf is just, look at that. It has grown so much in the last couple of days. Now I did notice how deeply purple it was when it was coming out. She does have purpling in her flowers, but it's just like deep, deep purple. So I've moved her away from the bright, bright light. But I put her on the bright shelf, just not as close to the bright light as she was before. So she is always a bit of a struggle to get back in safely, but yay, I did it. I'm gonna put her over here. Let's go here to Winky. So Winky is my spike that just keeps going and going and going and going and going. And she's still going and going and going. She looks fantastic. Right? And so do her roots. She's beautiful. Nothing to say here other than, sometimes orchids struggle a little bit, and sometimes they just flourish right off the bat. This is one that has struggled. And it is a struggle because this is the worst part of transitioning them into water culture, is to watch the roots do this. So when I first got her, she had a lot of beautiful roots. And now we're at this stage where this is typically where we've got a lot more roots growing, and she just doesn't. So I think she's just spending a lot of time still on her spike, on the big beautiful blooms that she has, which are starting to, starting to come to the end of their glory, wilting a little bit. And that is because of this system down here. So the thing that the beautiful roots that are supposed to be hydrating those flowers are starting to fail a little bit, I think. So, she does have a couple of spots where I do see roots are going to pop out, and she does have some of the older nubs there looking like they might do something, but she doesn't. I don't know. These roots are struggling. These roots are struggling a little bit, but she'll be okay. I do pay attention to these. I'm still doing this one in shorter cycles. She is never fully in water 100% of the time, never. So I do give her a nice big drink of water in the morning. I sometimes just drop it right down in the afternoon, and then after a day, maybe 2 days, I dump the water out completely overnight. Just let her kind of dry out overnight. Check her in the morning, give her some more water. So she's still in full-blown transition, although it's been like 4 months. But that's okay. So she's concentrating her efforts on those blooms and keeping the blooms healthy, but I'm not going to let her go too much further before I cut that spike off, and get her concentrating on her blooms instead. So I also have over there, the gold stripes are back together again, but there's nothing really to update on there with them. I'll give you a quick show though. All of her there, because they're both back together again. They're beautiful little blooms. I don't see any tips extending yet, but that doesn't mean that they won't. but they both have a new leaf. Their roots are looking fantastic. So they're doing okay. They're doing well. Nothing really to update on them. But anyway, that's my update on my phals. Thanks for watching. Talk soon.